Hey y'all, it's Crystal. Thanks for coming by today. Just a fun little tag video today. It's one I saw, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do this one. It wasn't specifically tagged, but it looks like a fun one, so I'm going to do it. And I saw it over on Greg's channel, Greg, over at another Bibliophile Reads, and yeah, so it sounds like a fun one. So this is the Simple Chinese Zodiac Book Recommendation tag. This was created by Tim's Too Many Books. Of course, I'll link all the linkies below for Greg and for Tim's Too Many Books, and you can check out the originals. So I think the simple version of this was based off of another tag, or someone created like a Chinese Zodiac tag that was based off characteristics of the Zodiac. But this one was like, let's make a simplified version and, you know, just use the animals themselves to, you know, throw out some book recommendations, either by like the animal name is in the title, or it's on the cover, or in, you know, featured in the book somewhere. And they would like, yeah, keep it simple, a book you read, book you want to read, whatever. Just throw out some books with, you know, that are related to these animals in some way. I hope that makes sense. So we're going to start out, of course, with the rat. And I can't think of anything that I have that had rats like on the cover or anything. So I was like, but this one popped to mind because this is Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. There is a rat scene in here that is chilling. It's pretty gruesome and pretty great, actually. Really pretty great. And so this like immediately popped to mind with the rat. So I love this book. I absolutely love this book. It's about some middle-aged women in the 90s in the Charleston area, and they have a book club where they read true crime, and maybe a vampire moves in next door and works their way into their lives. And yeah, it's really good. It's really good. And the rat scene in here is pretty top notch. So yeah, use that for that. Okay, the next up is Ox. Now, I was like, oh gosh. I of course own The Oxbow Incident. This is by Walter Van Tilburg Clark. I've not read this one yet. I think I'm gonna have it on the docket for June on the Range this year, though. I didn't get to it last year for June on the Range. I've heard this is excellent, though, so I'm really looking forward to getting to it. I don't think it has anything to do with actual ox, though, but the name's in the title. But one thing that did pop into my mind also was the ox cart man. I forgot to write down the author, but it's a picture book. It's an older picture book. I definitely remember reading it as a kid. I think probably a lot of us read that when I was a kid, and I remember it has really wonderful illustrations about this ox cart man. So that one definitely popped in mind as a book I remember reading as a child, for sure. Okay, number 3 is Tiger, and I immediately went to Ken Lee's The Paper Menagerie. It has this gorgeous origami tiger on the cover. Now I'm still only halfway through this collection, but the stories in here are stellar. The title story will break your heart. Stomp on it, put it back together, break it again. It's so good. There's what's that other story that's just so flippin' good? A lot of these are science fiction, but they're not all. Sometimes they're just like The Paper Menagerie is really just sort of a story of a family story that's so beautiful. The Simulacrum is really good. This one, The Little Romancer, yeah, oh my gosh, it's like a pre-war Vietnam era story. Oh my god, it also will break your heart. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous writing. If you've not, dug into these yet, you gotta read these stories. They're some of the best short stories that I've read. And of course, this gorgeous tiger on the cover. So yeah. I need to get back into this one and finish that collection out, but whatever. Okay, so next up is Rabbit, and I thought I could have went Watership Down, I could have went with Bunny and Mona Awa, but I remembered I have this book. It's called Rabbit Hill. This is by Robert Lawson. This is a middle grade story, and I have it on my shelf because it is a Newbery winner, and I've had this sort of lifelong. It'll take me forever to read all the Newbery winners, but this sounds lovely. So maybe middle grade March. I don't know. We'll see. But it's been a while since folks lived in the big house, and an even longer time has passed since there had been a garden at the house. All the animals of the hill are very excited about the new folks moving in, and they wonder how things are going to change. Will they bring dogs and traps, or will they be planting folks who will care for the land and grow rich crops? It's only a matter of time before the animals of the hill find out just who is moving in, and they may be a little surprised about when they do. So it just sounds pretty lovely. I think it's got a bunch of other animals in here, but I think I'm thinking the main focus is on some rabbits. I see like some raccoons. Lovely little illustrations. Look at the little house. He's in his little bed. It sounds really, really wonderful. So, it's got this gorgeous rabbit on the cover. So I thought that worked for the rabbit pretty well. Okay, next up is Dragon, and I had to pick this one, The Girl Who Drank the Moon, because there's a wee little dragon who is a character in this story who is so wonderful. I love this book, and I love the little dragon. And I think most people know what this book is about now, but it's wonderful. It's a lovely story. It's a middle grade story also, but I'm telling you, a wee little dragon. Enough said. Okay. Okay, next up is Snake, which if I remember, Snake is for my year. I'm pretty sure, yeah. Year of the Snake, which is pretty cool. And another book I haven't read, but of course I want to because I own it, is called The Snakes. And it has this gorgeous snake on the cover. This is by Sadie Jones. Look at that. Look at that cool yellow snake. So a refresher about what this one was about, why I wanted to read it. Recently married Bee, a psychologist, and Dan, a mixed race artist, rent out their tiny flat to escape London for a few precious months. Driving through France, they visit Bee's brother at a hotel he runs in Burgundy. Disturbingly, they find him all alone in the ramshackle hotel, deserted apart from a nest of snakes in the attic. So then their parents show up to make a surprise visit, and they can't understand why Bee is so appalled or why she's never wanted him to know them. Oh, so we've got some family drama. They seem charming and rich, the richest people he's ever met. Maybe Bee's ashamed of him, or maybe she regrets the secrets that she's been keeping. Okay, that's why I want to read this. Family secrets. So if tragedy strikes, suddenly, brutally, and in its aftermath, the family is stripped back to its heart, and then its rotten core. And even Bee, with all her strength and goodness, can't escape. Okay, yeah. I remember why I wanted to read this book, and look at that stunning cover. I love a book with like juicy family secrets, dark, underbellies of families. I love it. Love that kind of stuff. So I want to move this one up the TBR because that sounds great. Okay, next up is Horse. And I thought I'd go for this one, White Horse. This is by Erica T. Worth. This is a newer release. I haven't gotten to this yet, but it sounds pretty great. A woman who, it is an Indigenous author, Erica, and featuring an Indigenous woman character. Heavy metal, ripped jeans, Stephen King novels, the occasional beer at the White Horse have defined urban Indian Carrie James's life so far. And I think there's something about her mom has like this bracelet, something, it's a haunted bracelet or something like that. I don't want to read too much about it. I just want to read this one. But White Horse by Erica Worth sounds really great. And I've heard good things, pretty good things so far. So I think it's more of a quiet kind of horror also, which is right up my alley. So yeah, White Horse, Erica T. Worth. Alrighty, what's next is Goat. I couldn't think of anything with a goat on the cover, or about a goat necessarily. But Slewfoot by Brahm. As you go on the cover, we've got our main character here who has some goat feet. And of course the title character of Slewfoot, where is he? Abatha is oh, nice, so cool. Look at that. Yeah, this is a fantastic story. It is set sort of Puritan time, and our main character Abatha is struggling with the rules of a Puritan society, and she makes a connection with this being in the woods named Slewfoot. Story goes from there. It's fantastic. If you're into like witchy vibes, little like folk horror vibes, and you don't even like historical type stories, you know, again, really focusing on that Puritan time period. Can't recommend it enough. And of course, gorgeous artwork in here too by Brahm. So yeah, absolutely perfect for the goat, I think. Okay, next up is Monkey. Okay, so I went with this one. Like, okay, I know this is a gorilla, but I hadn't got no other monkey books. So this is Spaceball by Gordon Dixon. I've not read this one yet either. I really want to read it this year though, because it sounds kind of bonkers. So Bill Waltham has a strange suspicion that one or two important details were withheld from him when he received his assignment to the planet Dilbia. At the time, his task to teach the planet's gorilla-like inhabitants the very basics of agriculture seemed an innocent enough, even boring project for an engineering student. But Bill immediately senses a very definite Dilbian hostility toward interfering humans. And in trying to solve a major crisis on the planet, he finds himself involved in an homerific knockdown, drag-out brawl that affects no bones except the reader's funny bone. So it says there's funny scenes and dialogue makes Spaceball one of the happier five-finger exercises from the Kirkus service. So, I mean, it sounds like a hoot, actually. So, I like to get this one. I've got several Gordon Dixon books. I haven't read a single one, so I definitely need to check him out. And this cover, I mean, honestly, it's pretty badass. It's pretty cool. So, Spaceball. All right, next up is Rooster. And now this one is just one that has a rooster on the cover. Because I've not read any of these stories. I don't know if a rooster features at any time. But this is an older collection of some short stories by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. No one writes to the Colonel, and there's a rooster on there. So again, a short story collection. It doesn't even really give like blurbs about kind of what they are. Human frailty, characters are all too human, utterly humorous and tragic, classic, Garcia Marquez. I read a couple of Marquez books years ago now, but I've never actually read any of their short stories. I found this probably at a thrift store or something one day. So yeah. Have you read these stories? I'd like to know. No One Writes to the Colonel and Other Stories by Gabriel Garcia Marquez has a lovely little rooster on the cover, pecking on some corn. So yeah. Okay, number 11 is Dog, and another book I haven't read yet but really want to is Res Dogs. Now this is by Joseph Bruchac, who I love Bruchac. I loved the books that I read by Joseph Bruchac so far. He's sort of a classic by now of indigenous middle grade and children's books. And this one actually takes place during COVID times, so it's a newer book, and it is a story that's one that's kind of told in verse. And I know I think follows this little girl who is during COVID has hit, and she's sent to go live with her grandparents on the reservation, and or she's there when like COVID hits, and so she's just kind of stuck there. So she has to stay with her parents for the duration. Everyone's worried about the pandemic, but she knows how to keep her family safe. She protects her grandparents as they protect her. She doesn't go outside to play with friends. She helps her grandparents use video chat, listens and learns from their stories. And then Malsum, who's one of the dogs living on the reservation, shows up at their door, and the family knows that he'll protect them too. So I think this sounds lovely, and pretty, of course, current with the times that are going on, and you see how it affects an indigenous reservation. I think it sounds super interesting. And of course, I mean, dogs on a reservation, I think is sort of a well-known thing with having res dogs and stuff. So I think it sounds really lovely. So yeah, I need to get to that too. And last but not least is, of course, Pig. I mean, 2 on the nose. 2 on the nose to go Charlotte's Web. I mean, maybe not, because this is a wonderful classic, but I picked a lot of little great books for this book. The story of Wilbur the Pig and his little friendship with Charlotte the Spider on the farm. What a wonderful story. There is a rat in this story, I'm just remembering. So Templeton. Yeah, Templeton the rat. So it could work for that, y'all. But yeah, I mean, what a classic story by E.B. White. Just, I mean, heartbreaking too. I mean, really emotional story. You know, when I think we all know that Charlotte, you know, dies at the end. Spoiler. Look at that, you know, some pig. Yeah, I love Charlotte's Web. So yeah, so that's the tag. I mean, just, yeah, like I said, it's a pretty simple tag. Will I tag any folks? I always tag Mindy. I don't know. If you feel like doing it, give it a go. And I don't know. I didn't prepare anyone, so tag your it if you want to do it. It is a fun one to think about and put together. So, and yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.